Hi again. The previous episode in this series about combative concepts, I covered those concepts originated by W.E. Fairbairn. What I'm going to do in this episode is to have a look at how those concepts were carried forward with the work of British Special Forces. Now, the origin really is a place in Scotland, STC Lochaelort Special Training Centre, which was formed in 1940 as the crucible of specialised training, and it led to the formation of the commandos, for example. So personalities involved included Lord Lovat of the Lovat Scouts, and also the Stirling brothers, Bill Stirling and David Stirling. Bill was actually the commanding officer, and it was really his idea, and he really was the dynamo in that family. Now, obviously they went on to form the SAS, so the training from Lochaelort, where Fairbairn and Sykes were both senior instructors in charge of close combat and silent killing, spread throughout the commandos. The commandos beget the parachute regiment, and many of the originals in the SAS, which was formed in the desert, were also former commandos, and so that teaching spread. The SAS went on to Italy and to France before being disbanded. When it was resurrected after the war, it was in the jungle, and they were jungle fighters, and this led a particular type of mindset to the study of close quarter combat. Then the SAS came back to the UK and were established initially in Malvern and then in Hereford, and started looking at NATO roles, and started really doing a lot of very specialised training, and a lot of it coalesced around the close quarter combat. And as Lofty told me, when they were developing their training, kill or get killed was their Bible. Now, kill or get killed was obviously the distillation of Fairbairn's American work, carried on by Applegate. So the SAS was very, very interested in close quarter combat because they were specialising in raids, in covert work, infiltration of enemy areas and so on. And then they set up counter-revolutionary warfare wing, and started bodyguard courses so that they could produce instructors to train the bodyguard teams of certain heads of state, and they did this in their normal, thorough manner. And of course, close quarter battle, CQB, was a major part of that. So a lot of the training started crystallizing and becoming refined, and then later on the SAS trained the Delta Force extensively, and then into the Great War on Terror, where CQB came into its own. So that's really the historical progression. So what we'll do now is look at the elements as put down by the SAS. So if you bear in mind Fairbairn's principles, and now we're going to look at the ones taught by the SAS, and also the other elements of British Special Forces, SBS, obviously as well. The first one is speed. We have technical speed, the speed of a draw of a pistol, the speed of shooting a long gun, the speed of striking with unarmed blows. This is technical speed, and it should be trained to the point of efficiency, and we call this working speed. So your working speed, which you can produce under any circumstances, you don't have to be given much of a warning. That's your operational speed. That must be fast enough. You can never be too fast, so training's ongoing. But what we don't want to do is to force it, because you especially in shooting, you will tend to be quicker anyway under stress. You'll tend to shoot a bit faster anyway. And if you've ever tried, for example, if you come home and you're about to put the key in the lock of the door and you hear your telephone ringing inside and you try to open the door quicker, you actually fumble and you're slower. And that's a common thing. So your working speed, your normal speed, is what we want. So that's technical speed. But we also have speed of perception, how fast you can process mentally a situation that's going on. And speed of decision, how fast you can make a decision, whether to fight, whether to evade, whether to choose a particular weapon, particular level of force, and so on. These decisions, and it's all inculcated through training, through the right type of training. And in the modern era, we have really good training methods for this. Scenario training with active opponents, wearing protective equipment, the use of simu-missions, this kind of thing. So the backup to our training is excellent now. The original SAS material said that CQB should be carried out at a slow hurry. So you don't push it, you don't trip over your own feet, but you're doing it fast. The next element is aggression. Aggression is 90% of success in close quarter combat, and it's essential, but it must be controlled, it must be channeled, it must be focused aggression. It's a digital switch. You can go from calm in a mundane situation to full-on aggression instantly with the speed of electricity. It is not a gradual turning of a rheostat. It's on, off. On, get the job done, switch it off, come down, and you can appraise. A lot of this came from the jungle, where they were very, very intent on being part of the jungle, blending in, moving very, very silently, very slow pace, observing everything going on around them, but knowing, particularly during the Borneo campaign, when they were in enemy territory across the border, that at any second it could erupt in an ambush situation, and you had to go from this calm, observing your environment, into action and into counter attack instantly. Again, it's the digital switch. The SAS, generally speaking, operated in small teams, so you were usually outnumbered. So aggression is how you win the fight. Then we come to the third element, and a friend of mine who I worked with a lot was in Special Forces, and he told me about how they introduced this. And the guys were taking into the famous killing house, and they were in the room told to stand in a particular area, and the instructor has gone through speed, he's talked about aggression, and then he says, and then the next element, and he's got a concealed microphone, he says, is surprise, and the door blows open, a stun is thrown in, the guys come in and riddle the targets. Surprise. The flashbang induces shock, allows you to seize the initiative. Another element is doing the unexpected. In reactive situations, you might be denied initial surprise, like in the jungle scenario I mentioned. But you can use tactical surprise by doing the unexpected. For example, using aggression. Aggression can be a surprise. So the two are linked. The explosive entry used in room combat. You know you're the target of an SAS house assault when you find yourself flat on the back with your front door on top of you. It's a surprise. I'll just give you a quote. This was from the officer who really was responsible for the program of CQB in the early days of the regiment. It is the attitude is without fear, without pity, and without remorse. That was the mindset that they were seeking to instill in the guys. So, speed, aggression, surprise, SAS, easy to remember. And those three principles really sum everything up. Now, the Americans tend to have changed it to surprise, speed, and violence of action. But it's just semantics. It's exactly the same idea. There's no real difference. And you'll notice, though, that there is a difference between the modern concept SAS and Fairbairn's. And the main difference is that Fairbairn had artifice as one of his. However, and going back to the original lesson plan, let me just... Okay, so the normal SAS techniques of good intelligence, detailed planning, briefing, silent methods of approach, choice of weapons for the job, deception, and choice of footwear, etc., are all part of CQB to achieve tactical surprise to ensure success. So, deception, Fairbairn's concept, is still there, and it's baked into the training anyway. So that's it really. That's the concepts as taught to specialised forces in the UK, and has been for many, many years, and it's the platform upon which close quarter combat is built. Obviously it's backed up by a very rigorous selection process. The guys who are taught, who are selected, are very, very have demonstrated certain qualities that are essential to a CQB operator. The fact that they won't give in. Okay, I just want to make a little comment at the end, which is very relevant. A couple of weeks ago, there was a court case in Northern Ireland where it was ruled that the shooting of 4 terrorists from provisional IRA was unjustified. And the circumstances were they were in a heavy vehicle with a machine gun mounted on the bed of the vehicle, and they had attacked a police station and shot police officers, and they were in the process of making their getaway when there was a stop group of SAS who opened fire and killed the 4 terrorists. At the time, and the Army Legal Service and everything, it was deemed well within the rules of engagement. But many, many years later, it's been re-examined, and for some reason the legal minds have said it's not justified. And this has terrible implications, not just for special forces, but for all soldiers, because increasingly the type of operations the Army or the military in general is getting involved in is asymmetrical warfare, and it's not as clear cut as conventional warfare with the Geneva and Hague Conventions, for example. So it's a terrible thing, and it's in line with similar legal rulings we've seen in the past few weeks to do with immigration, where the judges really are not on the same planet as the rest of us. So I just wanted to mention that, because it's in the context that if you're training guys to operate at the highest levels and make decisions very, very quickly in life or death situations, and then many, many years later, decades later, someone comes along and says, no, you shouldn't have done that. It's a very onerous burden, and I don't really know how the guys are going to navigate that particular problem. So, thanks for your attention.